Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this stuff up. Ubisoft, a billion-dollar company, continues to take multiple L's seemingly on the daily. What we're going to be talking about is the latest controversy, which is Yasuke and watermelon. No, I'm not kidding. Yeah, of course, you can take a look at the rifle that's clipping through his helmet, which looks absolutely atrocious. They thought that this was good enough to, basically put out there for you to play. But I want to bring up the controversy around the watermelons. Because a lot of people, especially people in Japan, said, okay, well, watermelons weren't introduced to the general public at this time. Like, this is a historical inaccuracy. Also, they wouldn't have been that massively large. But more than that, it's also, you take a look, people were asking Grok, did watermelon exist in Japan around 1851? Around 1851, watermelons were not widespread in Japan. Watermelons only arrived in Japan in the 16th or 17th century through Portuguese and Dutch traders. It is therefore unlikely they would have, that they were to be found in Japan around 1581. Now, the reason we're talking about this is not that in and of itself it's a big deal. It's a whole bunch of other things that have compounded to just embarrass this company, and that's why we're doing this video. We're doing it to have a laugh. Like, of all the fruits that you could have there, you put out a piece of promotional material with a watermelon. It's funny. It's just funny. The other thing is people are bringing up the fact that watermelon is a summer fruit, whereas the cherry blossoms are a spring occurrence. So these two things would not be growing in the same time period. And this really gets to my point. They have managed to make so many mistakes that are seemingly insignificant but are actually important. What it tells me is that there is nobody there that is actually doing any sort of due diligence or paying attention, and it's basically just, oh, I like cherry blossoms. Oh, what would be cool if we have the watermelon? Oh, that would be great. Yeah, let's just put a bunch of watermelon in the promotional material. But I mean, for me, it's everything. Like, look at the comical nature of the gun going through the helmet. It just, this one picture encapsulates Ubisoft right now. It just encapsulates them so well, because it's not just one thing. It's one thing and another thing and another thing and another thing. It is failure on top of failure on top of failure. And at a certain point, you have to ask, if you're not capable of doing the job to which you've been assigned, if you're not capable of making an interesting looking aesthetic choice, if you're not capable of recognizing that cherry blossoms and watermelons don't bloom at the same time, if you're not able or capable to realize that having a bunch of comically sized watermelons while you're promoting a black samurai is maybe not the best thing to do, if you're not able to look at that and go, maybe we should really take more time. Because this is just a comedy of errors. The gun clipping through his helmet is embarrassing in 2025. The watermelons being that comically large is funny. Those are huge watermelons. Those are like ridiculous melons. And them being sold to just anyone. It's not historically accurate. The game looks like garbage. There's just inconsistency after inconsistency. And then people wonder, like, why aren't individuals resonating with this? Why aren't gamers giving this a chance? It's like, how many errors does a company have to make before you step up and say, you know what, I don't think that I'm interested in this? The biggest mistake was not taking Yasuke out of the game. He should have been Thanos snapped out of existence at the first mention of, hey, you know, be great. Let's have a black samurai. You're fired. You're fired, Smith. Get out. Like, that's a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea. But they did it. And so I want to talk about what the reaction from the content creator community is. Because there haven't been a lot of these sort of videos yet. Just wait till the game comes out. But I wanted to talk about this content creator. You may have seen him. Apparently he's very big on TikTok. And this is something that I've seen far too often, which is when these bootlicking content creators want to ingratiate themselves to the company in question, they will call the audience racist. And why are they calling them racist? Even though the studio is the one that put the watermelons. Of all the fruit they could have chosen, they chose watermelons, even though it's not historically accurate. That is absolutely hilarious.
I'm not racist or sexist. I just think that a black samurai and a woman ninja aren't historically accurate for Japan at the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. It's not the coolest thing you could do. There's literally no purpose to it, other than DEI, wokeness, identity politics. That's a perfectly valid argument. So I'm on pins and needles how this guy is going to, fairly and appropriately counter that. What do you think he's going to say?
Oh, and Assassin's Creed has always been about historical accuracy. Exactly, like Assassin's Creed 2. Yes, a good Assassin's Creed game that gets it, where at the end you fight the historically accurate Pope. At least Rodrigo Borgia was really the Pope, who is wielding historically accurate magic Apple of Eden, which controls people's minds.
So here's the issue. Ubisoft went above and beyond to basically establish a false history for Japan in order to justify their decision to make Yasuke the main character. They didn't do that with Assassin's Creed 2. They didn't put out some kind of deep, lore dive. This was really what the Pope was like. And, the Pope was really in possession. No. People are able to take the historical elements and separate them from the fantastical elements that are, a part of the game, like the Animus. It's like, we don't have anything like that in our world. So obviously, it's not going to be a one-for-one, but when you look at Assassin's Creed 2 and what they did, they didn't try to say that this is actually historically accurate. Ubisoft did. They did do that. And by the way, not only did they do that, they added assets into their game that Japan has off limits for commercial use. They're taking liberties that shouldn't be taken. There's no reason for them to take, putting them into a game and then trying to gaslight people and saying, no, this is the way it is. If you don't understand why that's a problem, I don't know what to tell you. There really is no defense for your defense of what they're doing.
Okay, well, a magically apple that was created by the historically accurate ancient civilization that also created humanity and used that apple to enslave humanity until the historically accurate Adam and Eve, yes, from the Bible, led a revolution against them? What? Or how the historically accurate Isu, again, the ancient civilization that came before humanity, were able to use a supercomputer called Yggdrasil, yes, the world tree from the historically accurate Norse mythology, in order to be reincarnated as humans. You know what? At least Ezio was Italian. Well, Naoe is Japanese, and Yasuke is more historically accurate than Ezio ever was. Exactly, he's a real character, which means they probably won't be able to follow his real story. Oh, like the other media Yasuke's in, where they follow his story and he fights a historically accurate robot. Okay, look, I'm not the only person who has a problem with this, because you're not the only gamer who's racist and sexist.
Well, I mean, there are people that actually believe that. There are people that are actually genuinely that weak-minded, that retarded, that low IQ, that desperate, that pathetic, that they would make an argument like that that's just weak. I mean, easily dismissed because there's no validity to it. Nobody's saying that Assassin's Creed has been historically accurate, but there have been historically accurate settings. And by the way, with the settings and, you know, the time and place, the people, the language, Assassin's Creed has billed itself as, you know, being, I don't know if historically accurate is the right word, but being based in reality, being grounded in some sort of thing that people can pay attention to and say, okay, well, this is reality, but then they add in this little bit of mystery, this little bit of, you know, fantastical stuff that coincides with these certain things that could maybe be. And that's really where this whole thing comes apart. This guy's argument is just basically that anyone who disagrees with this has some fallacious argument and that they're racist and sexist. And it's genuinely coming from a place of profound weakness, stupidity, this desire to feel superior to other people. Because if a lot of people have an opinion and then you go against all those people, well, then you're, you know, smarter and you're more credible than all those people. But to reduce what people are saying to racism is, I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic to say, no, the reason that you have a problem is because you don't like black people. You know, and that may be true in some cases, and if it is, what do I care? Like, genuinely, what do I care? I've known enough black people in my life that don't like other races. I don't care. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the validity of the argument that it's historically inaccurate and weird. That you're walking down the street and you've got, like, Asian hip-hop as you're cutting Japanese people down in broad daylight, and that it's weird for an Assassin's Creed game to have somebody that's just so out of place and is not going to be able to really hide, or that you're walking down the street and there's watermelon and watermelon was not commonly available. It's a comedy of errors. And what this person is saying is basically, shut up and don't say that you notice, or I'm going to accuse you of being racist. And my answer to that is, first of all, you can shove a cactus up your ass. You're a loser, you're a freak, and I don't respect what you say or why you say it. Second of all, gamers, or people that may not even be gamers, but may be interested in this for some reason, people who are historians, they have every right to criticize this, critique this, look at this up, down, sideways, because this is a product that they are attempting to sell. They're not giving this away for free. This isn't like some art project. They're demanding that you pay a lot of money for this. So that being the case, they have every right, as the consumer, as the critic, to vocalize why they don't like this. And for you to come out and basically put Ubisoft's cock in your mouth and start greedily going to town, I gotta tell you, you look pretty gay. It's pretty pathetic. There's no justification for it. There are valid reasons why people don't buy this game. Whether you think they're valid or not is completely and totally irrelevant. The story behind Assassin's Creed, it was a mix of historical accuracy plus a little bit of the fantastic, a little bit of the supernatural, a little bit of the technology is beyond what we can do now, but it's based in reality. Everything has an explanation. And they've abandoned that. They've abandoned that for a while. But understand, Ubisoft needs us way more than we need Ubisoft. And this is something that these people don't understand, is that by you alienating people, not only with a bad product, but bad marketing, and then accusing people of being racist, you push more people away than you can possibly know. And then in the end, we're not going to get another Assassin's Creed game. We may not even see Ubisoft past 2025. And keep in mind, if you want to say that the gaming community is racist, you'd have to also say, well, why didn't they support Ubisoft's last game, which was Star Wars Outlaws? Oh, is it also because they're sexist too? Is every answer some deficiency on the part of the gamer? That they're just so bad. If only they weren't these things that I don't like. If only they didn't have the opinions that I don't like, then everything would be good. No. Star Wars Outlaws was a terrible, terrible game. The design, the aesthetics, the story, the graphical limitations for a game coming out in 2024, it was shocking. I'd much rather go play Knights of the Old Republic. And that, what was that, 1997? It was really, really long ago. In a galaxy far, far away. Ladies and gentlemen, the comedy of errors. The continued string of mistakes that have compounded upon themselves to make a game and a project and a company the laughingstock of the entire internet world. Let's have a laugh. Let's have a laugh at their expense, because they're putting millions and billions and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into this stuff and making mistakes that any amateur would be able to avoid. And by the way, I don't know if I can pull this up on the fly, but let's see, AC Shadows cutting. Oh, let's see if I can find this real quick, because one of the journalists, in quotations, one of the journalists was talking about the cutting of the bamboo and how impressive it was. Oh, here we go. This is it. The cutting of the bamboo, how impressive it was. How impressive it was to cut the bamboo, even though you could do that same thing in Skyward Sword in 2011. But the real thing that I want to show you is that back in 2013, they were releasing games that could do, just incredible things. I want to see if I'm able to find it. So here's one of them. This was many, many years ago. This stuff is not new. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at that. That's so much better. Look at that. That was years ago. And the fact that they haven't improved is really quite depressing. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. We talked about the watermelon controversy. Anyway, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next time.